Hello, ladies. Welcome to Wednesday's video. I am finding it extremely appropriate that I look like I've been dragged through it every time we do these Wednesdays videos. And it's amazing because I have it together way more than I ever had my whole life. But these planetary changes, bringing up old stuff, sort of. But then again, why do we feel the need to be perfect all the time? Why can't we just let ourselves go through these patches of changing and updating and upgrading and such? Currently, the moon is in Scorpio. Excuse the light flash back and forth. I'm actually in bed, just really the all day I've been trying to rest and recoup because the moon in Scorpio is when all your feelings and your logic and all that sort of stuff are in whatever the darkest house in your chart is. For me, it's in my fourth house, which is the home of roots, family, childhood, um, your foundation where you started. So today, what I've been dealing with, which wraps up into what we've been working on the last week. Last week's prompt was, what dream did you give up as a child? This week's prompt is, what is your favorite thing about you? So that leads to the gap in between these things that makes you feel like you're no longer able to do the things you used to dream about. What was your favorite thing about you? Um, Mine came to resilience, which really caught me off guard because I'm like, I really enjoyed my ability to rebuild. And I sort of almost for a second penalized myself. I'm like, oh, why can't it just be a good thing, just a talent that you naturally have? Why did it have to be something attributed to overcoming trauma? But that counts as a thing. Over the last couple months, I've just been learning a lot about everything. I wanted to learn everything there was about psychology, science, why people from other walks of life react to life the way that they do. And that sort of thing. And along the way, I learned that a lot of people who have addictions and things like that are just people who couldn't overcome stuff in their childhood, which caught me off guard because I think originally I was honestly just trying to find proof that there was any person who came into this world evil, and I couldn't. I found regular people who found themselves in circumstances that ended up doing these things for whatever they perceived to be survival based on their childhood, which leads us to here where we began last time. So, me discounting that goes back to what this week's thing is, and I noticed with a couple of your comments. Please know that I'm always reading them, even though I'm not always able to comment. That's why when I do the journal post, I really want you to, even if it is on that post that you get it out, I want you to get it out somewhere. Just start thinking through that process. I noticed that a lot of you also had the same thing I'm dealing with, which we're gonna put under the umbrella of imposter syndrome. This is pretty much no matter how much you have accomplished since the beginning of your life when things were sort of out of control, your brain still does not connect with the fact that you have accomplished all this stuff and it's awesome. You did it, regardless of if it's not as perfect as what you wanted to be. You've come a long way from where you started. And I noticed that we're all on the same wavelength, which makes sense because we're here. But starting to recognize positive things about yourself is important in shadow work as well as the actual like dealing with the shadow. So that's what this week is about. I want to try to go back and forth between balancing your positive shadow and your, I don't want to say negative, but your repressed shadow. The positive shadow is all the good things about yourself that you may not notice because of whatever reason, because good things get tucked away too. Say, for instance, you're a child that is really good at science and math, but nobody ever wants to hear that shit because they don't understand your intellect. So eventually you might start putting away your amazing, Bill Gates-ish type intelligence because somebody made you feel like it wasn't important to them. Not everybody is meant to notice your excellence. And specifically in some people's childhood, you are put in a situation where no one is supposed to notice your excellence so that you go out into the world and find where your excellence is recognized. That happens a lot in the case of North Node in Capricorn. A North Node in 10th, North Node in 11th. Anything actually, because the bottom half of your chart, the first 6 houses, all refer to things that have to do with this human experience, your day to day life and developing your human, so to speak. The things that go from 7th through 12th are all about things outside of yourself. Say, for instance, the 7th is partnership. The 8th is like death and up with other people's money and sex and merging with those people. The 9th house is about travel and stepping outside of your box. The 10th house is literally about going out to the highest peak of the world where other people recognize you for your work and your efforts and what you put in. The 11th house is about connecting with creativity, the collective, humanity. And the 12th house is about karma and reincarnation and just bringing everything to a close. So with that being said, hopefully that gives you some more insight into your chart sort of kind of in the areas where you have Scorpio energy. Scorpio energy, wherever that is in your chart, that will be the area that challenges you to thrive. Say, for instance, somebody who has Scorpio in 7th, they'll be challenged to thrive in their partnerships. Um, Whereas if you have it in the 4th, like me, it's a challenge to thrive in your family, in your household, and to go thrive beyond your foundations, which is wild how these charts freaking work, right? But imposter syndrome is something we can all face in one area or another. Some people do amazing at work and they never think their accolades are enough. Some people do amazing at home with their family, but they never feel like they provide enough. You know what I mean? So I'm going to take you down a rabbit hole of how this sort of shadow work thing works. All right, so you take a situation like this, even if negative feelings come up when you have a question like, what is your favorite thing about yourself? You walk yourself through them. Mine was my resilience, my ability to start over from scratch and overcome anything thrown at me. Then immediately I felt like, why is that something that I admire about myself? And then I started looking at it as the bad thing, that the main thing I enjoy about myself is that I overcome, because I didn't want to attribute that to always feeling the need to be in a situation of high anxiety or high stress for me to feel like I'm thriving. Why don't I think it's okay to be okay and be happy with those other talents? I guess maybe because I realize how hard it is to focus on those other things with all the other stuff that I've overcome. And that's sort of how you talk yourself through it, but you continue to go down the rabbit hole with these feelings until you can pretty much not invalidate it, but understand yourself, understand why you feel this way, understand what it was rooted in. Because I'd follow mine back to, of course, with it being in this particular house, I'd follow it back to my family. And the fact that a lot of them did not know the things that they were doing were just things that were passed down from slavery. This behavior that mentally boxes us comes from the fear of us getting out that was presented through slavery. And then now, sadly, our families do it to us a lot. I think a lot of us are stopping, but I'm sure everybody across every race can realize that their family has some sort of toxic streak, especially nowadays with everything going on, that is being pulled up right now, especially those with the Pluto and Scorpio generation. What's that, 1984 to 1995, something like that. Don't quote me on that, but that's roughly the time period. Um, so when thinking about your favorite things about yourself, don't feel bad if it doesn't just pop up at you like amazing. And if it does just pop up at you, that's good. That means you've already got half the battle because you no longer have the shame behind appreciating yourself, the shame behind enjoying who you are. And that connects directly back to what you like doing as a child. Because whatever you like doing as a child, you did it with confidence. You did it without worrying about it. It's the fact that you lost sight of yourself that got you. What do you like about you? What do you want your life to look like? Who told you that that wasn't an option for you anymore? And to start back there. Because believe we came into this world to do exactly what we want to do. This whole slave system, this go to school for 12 years to learn the basics so they can decide where you need to go in order to better funnel the corporate machine, is not what's supposed to happen here. I've been blessed with the opportunity to look at over 300 charts. There is no particular chart where it says this person came to be working for somebody else for the rest of their life. This person came to be in construction for the rest of their life and just work for somebody else and retire and have nothing to show. That's not in there. That is what's forced upon us by the powers to be. Everybody has somewhere in their chart where they have the ability to take the reins and lead themselves with their own business. I'm hoping one day we get to the part where we all get to barter our skills and it just works out all kumbaya like and whatnot. But right now, this is what we could do. We can work on ourselves. That is the best part, to raise the vibration all the way around, because as soon as you fall into alignment and find out what you're supposed to do, what you were originally supposed to do, you start to fall into place for the people who need you, for the people who needed somebody who had this particular skill, this particular set of experiences to show them, like, hey, I can get out of this, or I can make something out of this, because there are only 12 paths in this life. That's the Aries rising, the Pisces rising. You get the idea. All these risings are paths. Okay, we're all on the same 12 paths. We just switch and mix and match. But there's somebody out there who's going through exactly what you're going through. Albeit the planets are different. The transits, your original makeup is always different than somebody else. But the transits, the way they go around, somebody else is going through the exact same thing you're going through right now. And that's just how we're set up. So I'm hoping by all of us coming together, we can start to make a difference, because I know that there are a lot of people out there who are supposed to be writing. There are a lot of people who are supposed to be opening restaurants and that sort of thing. It just all seems very bleak right now. But understand that this period, this astrological period, is for a shift to happen. If you are able to start working with your shadow, working with that energy, starting to step into who you were always meant to be, when the time comes for everything to go back off into working on the favor of all the people who have been in this machine of slavery for all this time, pretty much, you will be starting the next chapter. You will finally be doing the thing you love. It's just a matter of stepping out on faith. And that's what I am here for with you guys today. We are in this together, because also, like, me talking to people, it's crazy. But I realized that we're in this together, and I don't need to feel alone. Like, I could sit in the room all day by myself and just be. But that's from last life. That's not what I'm supposed to do this time. This time I'm supposed to talk to you fabulous people. Do this shadow work stuff, which is actually quite therapeutic. This is actually how I do my setup for my personal own therapy videos, because writing, I never seem to get out enough words like I need to. My hand cramps up and it's just all. It's important that when you're able to do your journals or that sort of thing, that you allow yourself to just let it speak. Just let yourself speak. There's nothing wrong with rambling. Chances are you actually find that answer within your own head when you ramble. I don't know if it looks wild to y'all on there, but so this week's theme was, what's your favorite thing about yourself? Now, once you've got a hold of that, once you've actually been able to walk down that path and think about what it is, why don't you go try to use that thing? I think I particularly enjoy my voice, but I've been too busy working to utilize that part. And I need to stop doing that, because I can't give you guys advice and not follow it. This is not my only passion. This is not my only job. And it's so easy to get caught up in what you have to do, that you stop doing what feeds you, what feeds your soul. We are all constantly just trying to find the balance between that, being of service and being of service to self. This earth experience, right? Like, what the fuck? I'm enjoying the ride. I'm enjoying learning, and surprisingly, even the failing, because every time I fail, I feel now like I'm getting closer to getting it right, which is what an amazing way to start looking at it. Every time I fail before, I was like, I'm just gonna quit because every time I fail. No, now I'm like, okay, that didn't work. What can we do to adjust this? Did anybody die? Nobody ever dies, but you give yourself such a hard time over it. And when you start thinking of it that way, it just makes everything so much smaller. How many times have you lost a whole day being angry about something, and it changed absolutely nothing, you being angry, and then the next day the problem sort of went away or wasn't as bad as you thought? It's like, We don't have control of anything but our moods. And maybe if we could just remember all the times before that we were granted grace and lost time to worrying how much it wasn't worth anything. But that would be helpful to ground us in those moments, especially like what's going on here. And I'm trying not to drown everybody in sadness like the news, because boy, did that get depressing quick, sort of caught me off guard. um, it's important to talk about things that are going on now. The president sort of slipping in shots at China underneath our radar. I'm pretty sure they're not going to take too kindly to that. Taking shots at the actual people, like literally shots. There are people starving, meat factories closing. Although we're noticing that meat factories have the highest cases of coronavirus, that's a whole other thing to talk about. Like, there are thousands of people protesting. Nobody's getting sicker. Should we discuss that? I feel like this is the group where I can talk about these off the wall things, because we're supposed to be, this is a group for people who are ready to look into the darkness and start pulling it apart, to start seeing what feels like it's missing. I know lately for me, what's felt like it's missing is all the facts. It's just very clear that we're not being told certain things, and that we're told as the people that we have the power, but we're being finessed. This is politics. This is money being involved in politics and law. Maybe if money was abstracted from that, people would be more honest. Because that's what makes people lying still. I mean, think about it. When people commit crimes, most of the time, is to get money to get things they want and need. I don't think it's any different with politicians or with people who work in law. Sadly, if somebody offers them enough money to be able to, we saw that in the Purge, if somebody offers them enough money to be able to take care of their family, some people are willing to sacrifice their lives. Money can be a beautiful thing, but it can also be a mess, which is currently where we are. There are lots of wrong things going on in this world because of money. I think us starting to get back in touch with finding passion in what we do and doing things out of our genuine love for them might change that. Change the rhythm of people's willingness, or sadly, the fact that certain people have to do certain things for money. Because that needs to be taken into consideration too. We are in a very material lane where these things are required. And there are people who still work all day and don't have enough for them. So, to end this on a lighter note, we are going to be embracing our gifts for the rest of the week. Mixing those with what we did last week. Do the thing that you loved doing as a child. Just try it out. See if you still feel that passion for it. Throw yourself in there. I'm even going to step out the box. I'm going to, tomorrow, maybe Friday. Don't pressure yourself. Work with your energy, just like I'm working with now. I am going to do my hair and my face, and I'm going to record a lovely video of me singing, because that calms my nerves. That gives me peace, and that is the thing that I gave up. I gave up using my voice, because I do these readings and I talk to you guys, but I know if I were to sing about the lovely things I have written in my notebooks, that might change things way faster. Maybe I need to just stop being scared about all the petty things and do that. And I hope passing that on to you guys too.